Okay, so I'm going to target the three takeaways from the lecture from this week. And the first one is going to be differential reinforcement, which is basically targeting one behavior and focusing solely on that behavior, which I think it's really good. And like an example for that is, say I was thinking about this. So say a kid tends to yell when something is, or like the client tends to yell when something is associated to, for say, homework. Say, oh, every time homework is presented, it's yell, yell, yell. So just finding a middle ground to be able to focus on that behavior, which is yelling, and just try to reinforce that certain behavior, which I think is really cool, which ties into the second one, which is successful reinforcement, which I think is something that's really cool because it's just something closer, like you get closer and closer to just getting that behavior out the way, basically, and just successfully maneuvering it, or even not even that, just being able to find a better reinforcer for that specific behavior overall. And that's what I really liked about the part of lectures. Like, those two really go together when it comes to shaping, because all of that has to do with shaping. And shaping is just trying to basically, how can I better, I'm trying to find like the right words to figure this out, but um shaping has to do with both of those, because, oh yeah, because this is my third takeaway, is shaping, but it kind of all ties together. So it's like three different parts into one full circle, which is shaping. And so shaping has to do with reinforcement and extinction, because as we talked about in our previous lectures, extinction is kind of just getting fully, let's get rid of that behavior, let's get rid of that, just slowly kind of pull it out of what the client is used to, or whoever you're working with is used to it. So knowing that reinforcement and shaping, reinforcement and extinction has to do with shaping, then you can better understand differential and successful, because differential is just, we're gonna target this until it's like boom, until it's shaped to something positive. And successful reinforcement is the same, basically the same concept, but the other way around is just being like just having an overall better outlook on the situation, having it be successful. And as for the takeaway for the presentation, I kind of wanted to target all of that, because they did really well at targeting all of that, because not only is shaping used all around, it has to do a lot with a lot of things. And this also, and they did a really good job at targeting like shaping, and just having a better understanding on that from the presentation. But I also want to touch base is like the presentation that they had helped me a lot with our own behaviors that we are trying to navigate towards. Because when you think about like shaping, or when you think about reinforcement, extinction, successful reinforcement, differential reinforcement, all of that really has to do with a lot of our behaviors that we are going to be targeting for our project. Because that got me to think is, okay, for differential, I am targeting procrastination, but what are the things that I can do to minimize all of that, right? You obviously want to bump up all the things that are more positive towards the situation that you are trying to target and get better at, but also how can we minimize certain things for it to just pull itself away, which is also a good thing to take from that, for even our project. And that's what I really want to add to. But back to the back to the presentation, just first takeaway is like, it helped me associate a lot of things to our project. And second of all, the way they just targeted all of that, and of course the frequency, duration, when it came to their presentation and what they were presenting about. Also, another thing to add with shaping that has to kind of all correlate together is also prompting and fading, because those two things also were mentioned in one of the PowerPoints, not necessarily the lecture, but the PowerPoint. And those are also really good to get into when it comes to talking about differential or successful or even just shaping, all of that, because fading is associated with extinction in its own way. Obviously, extinction is getting rid of it, but fading is having its own course to eventually get to that point. And then well, prompting is going to be beneficial to whatever you're trying to get rid of. Is just getting yourself to do A, B, and C to get yourself closer to the goal. So just a lot of like things, honestly, more than 3 takeaways for sure, but it really opened up my eyes overall about our own presentation and how I might also implement that to my presentation with my group that I have in a few weeks. So yeah, it was really good, and everybody did great at presenting, and really good information this week.